The scenes of sunny beaches at Turkey's vacation hotspots have been a boon for travelers and the country's tourism sector. But long periods of hot weather together with low rainfall have their downsides. A prolonged drought in Turkey's central regions has raised fears that the country's breadbasket could turn into a desert. Plans are now in motion to roll back the effects of climate change. Let's take a look at this report. And joining me now from Mersin, Turkey, is Seda Sevim Yamac. She is an assistant professor at the Konya Food and Agriculture University. And from Keele, UK, Sharon George. She is a senior lecturer and course director in environmental sustainability and green technology at Keele University. Ladies, a warm welcome to you both. So, Sharon, what kind of an impact does the climate change have on the world's agriculture sector? Where does it stand now?
Okay, so the world agriculture is increasingly finding itself under pressure in terms of being able to support current production. So the pressure is coming from all sorts of angles. So we're seeing more drought, more flooding. We're seeing challenges to supply chains through increasing costs, and we're also seeing impacts through more natural disasters. And all of this is putting not only an environmental but an economic pressure on this already difficult sector.
So, Seda, despite a drop of rainfall by 25% compared with last year, Turkey's agricultural output has increased. How come? And I mean, what kind of measures Turkey has taken not to face food shortages?
Yeah, in short term, it's possible to manage it, but for sure that now we use more technologies. Because of that reason, we start to increase our production. But if you think about the long term, as we know that a drought is, especially this year, drought has a very big, create a big problem in Turkey also. Yes, we have now water resources, maybe not enough comparing to other countries, but now we have water resources, but temperature is increasing and there's unfavorable rainfall distribution. This creates, unfortunately, in the long term, it will create a big problem. Yes, short term, as I mentioned, there's no problem, but we have to think about the long term.
Is Turkey thinking about it?
Yeah, actually, yes, because the Agriculture and Forestry Minister prepared a drought strategy and action plan for compacting agriculture. And now they are trying to educate the farmers, and they give support farmers, for example, using some new technologies like new irrigation systems, and they are, yeah, and this kind of things.
So, Sharon, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the global agriculture, and has the world experienced any shortages in food supply?
But what we're seeing through COVID is that there's been a sudden imbalance in terms of and supply, transport, and demand for resources. So a lot of technology and innovation support has been directed towards dealing with the pandemic, and a lot of supply and our attention is somewhat been distracted and focused on the pandemic. What we need to do is focus on those, we've just mentioned those innovation and technology inputs that we can have. So not just in terms of irrigation, but developing crops that are more resistant to drought and sudden shocks, and the drought plants and land that is going to be more resilient to more pressure from land erosion and all of the impacts that come with climate change.
So, Seda, the extreme drought condition in Konya, the heart of Turkey's agriculture sector, has, I can imagine, negatively affected farmers. You just talked about using new technologies, new irrigation systems. Where do you think Turkey stands when compared to European countries in terms of using new technologies? Is it lagging behind?
Yeah, actually, yes. People are really interested right now, and especially in many sectors are. And I hear many firms supporting agriculture sector, and especially the technology companies. We are hearing that they supporting use the technologies in the agriculture sector. Especially in Konya, it has a really big opportunity. Because they have opportunity to develop the technologies. Now they are using the sensors, satellite images, and drones. They use these technologies to collect data, and now they make a plan and strategies. They develop plan and strategies to improve the agriculture production in the quality and the quantity.
Yeah, so Sharon, do you agree that the climate change alters the sector globally, that now farmers are finding it harder to grow enough supply, let's say, to meet the increasing demands? If so, where the world is headed and what should be done to reverse this danger?
Yeah, things are getting more difficult, and unfortunately the pressure of climate change is not set to get any easier, and we're only going to see this go in one direction. Emissions are going up, and even with the best efforts, we're really struggling to keep within the target, not to reduce climate change, but just to keep it within limits. So these pressures are going to carry on increasing. So we're going to see increased pressure on things like water availability and just generally things like biodiversity that and how the land is used. So all of these things need serious thought and serious planning, not to prevent, but to be resilient to, and accept that climate change is here, it's going to happen, and we just need to understand how best to produce as much food for people as possible within the resources that we have. And that means more circular systems, so things like wasting less and being a lot more precise and efficient with the use of technology that we're developing.
So, Seda, where does Turkey stand in terms of its underwater resources and groundwater supplies? And because we know that Turkey has been building dams lately, is building dams enough to save the agricultural lands?
Actually, everybody has to take their own precautions, and every farmer has to take their precautions. If you can develop dams, the government support to develop dams, it's okay. But farmers should learn how to use the water. I mean, they need to, for example, they use drip irrigation, but they don't know how to use it. They still apply so much water to drip irrigation. Unfortunately, it's engineering work. You have to calculate every processes of these modern irrigation systems. if you do not use enough irrigation, if you do not use it very well, in the end, you will suffer again. So we have to educate our farmers, actually.
Especially maybe on the Salt Lake's latest situation that we've seen. Unfortunately, thousands of flamingos died. All right, ladies, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.